So every single move that you make is going to cause you to have to breathe sooner. Drift.
I don't know what he wants. What?
No. Welcome back, folks, to another fishing adventures of Judah and Kimber Clark. We're going to be talking about the twins. It's really cool that I met them and they absolutely had like no free diving or spearfishing experience whatsoever. But they had a really big desire to learn, and they have really gotten into the sport with me and John and the whole crew. You know, we've been training them. We've been teaching them a lot of stuff, and it's not easy. I mean, you have to really put in your time to get good at free dive spearfishing. The other day, we sat down with them and really told them a lot of things that they need to know. You know the difference between why you would need a small gun versus a bigger gun?
Bigger fish.
Yeah, not necessarily a bigger fish, but longer distance and more accuracy and more power. The smaller gun's effective range is only like a couple of feet. It's got a lot of power, but if you were gonna shoot a wahoo that was over there, you're gonna want one of these more powerful guns. So that's really the difference in, you know, the length of guns. Also the bands, the band power, like these are smaller bands. You got a lot more bands here that creates a lot more power. So most guns either have a reel or a breakaway float system, but we're gonna be mostly using reel guns. And so the reel guns are kind of tight to keep the line tight. But when you shoot a fish, if you pull on that, like it's not going anywhere. Righty tighty, lefty loosey, you have to loosen it so that it comes right out. So if you shoot a fish down there, and it's a big fish, let's say, if you have this drag all the way tight, you're basically fighting that fish underwater. As you're wanting to breathe and working up, and like, I need to breathe, that fish will be dragging you down. Either that or it's gonna pull the gun right out of your hand. So you want to, you know, have this just tight enough that a little string can come out, but not so tight. But then as soon as you shoot a fish and you have to come up, you want to loosen this up. Or let's say you shoot a fish and miss and hit a rock and your spear gets stuck in the rock. Then you need to open this up and come up. Otherwise, it's going to rip the gun right out of your hand. And if you have a lot of current, you're going to be going down with the current and the gun's going to be stuck there and you're going to be like, bye gun. And it's either going to be really hard to get back to it or you might not ever find it again. Just like drag, you know what drag is when you're fishing?
Yeah.
You tighten that drag down and you're gonna rip the hook right out of its mouth. If you loosen it up, then it can run and you can baby it and bring it in, run and you can reel it in, and it's the same principle on a gun reel. So somebody might give you a gun that's like not properly rigged up, and they're like, here, you know, go ahead and shoot the fish, and then you're like missing fish, you know, there's all these problems, and they're like, I don't know, you suck. It's not you, it's like the gun. Like they don't know, they don't have it tuned properly, or the shaft is bent or something, you know. So you kind of want to know your gear, and when you get handed a gun, be like, look at the shaft, look at the flopper. Sometimes little things can get stuck in here like fish skin. Everything you move underwater is 800 times harder underwater than it is above the water. So when you go like this, move your arm, it doesn't feel like it, but it's hard. You're like exerting a lot of energy. So every single move that you make is going to cause you to have to breathe sooner. Drift.
I don't know what he wants. What?
No.
Go lay down.
See, he's back to
Go
his
lay
old
down.
tricks.
Go lay down.
Before you dive, you should close your eyes and just relax every single muscle in your body. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms. You know, you want to not be kicking. Drift. Go lay down. Go lay down. Hey, lay down.
Go lay down.
You want to relax the whole time. Tell your mind to relax. When you get to the bottom, you want to float down to the bottom, and you just want to lay there. You want to slowly look around. You know, the more slow you are and the less movement, the longer you're going to be able to stay down there. If you're all tense and you're swimming up against current, and then you dive to take a breath and dive down, you're going to have to come right back up. It's like pointless. So if you want to dive here and the current's going this way and you have to swim, you want to swim all the way up here And you want to stop moving and relax and drift back and then dive. Some guns have safety, some guns don't. Don't ever trust the safety. You know, don't ever point a gun in anyone's direction whatsoever. If this is a gun and you're on the surface, the gun is always pointed downward. Always. Never are you like this. Ever. Never, ever, ever. Is the gun like this? And never do you point it at somebody. If you gotta hand the gun up to somebody on the boat, you hand it up like this. And you make sure that that gun is not pointed anywhere in anyone's direction or the boat's direction. You could shoot a hole right through the boat. And when you're loading a gun, make sure you're not in the vicinity of anyone. This happened to me once when I was first starting out. I was loading a gun, and actually a couple times, and the gun like fired as I was loading. Something's wrong with the trigger mechanism or something, and boom! I was like, thank God nobody was anywhere in that vicinity. Another thing is, if you have a gun here laying on the ground and it fires, where's the danger? Okay, it's both directions. So the bands are gonna go, the gun's gonna go flying this way, and the spear's gonna go flying that way. So you also wanna be aware of the back end of the gun. You know? So you don't wanna be sitting there like the gun's on the seat on a boat, and you're sitting here and the boat hits a wave, boom, that goes off, boom, that thing's gonna ram into your hip, and boom, shoot out the boat. One big danger you can have with reels is that they lock up or the string gets messed up. So you see this string, see how the string is a little loose? That's a bad thing. Because what happens is that string, if you start pulling on it tight, it's gonna get caught. You also have to be careful that the string doesn't come out and get wrapped on something like the handle. So sometimes you use a belt reel that hooks to the back of the gun. You have to make sure that line doesn't get tangled up in anything. Let's say you're down there on the bottom and you shoot a fish. That fish can go swim around, the line is attached to it, it can go back down into that hole, and it's essentially just basically did a loop around you and go into the hole, and it's now pulling your neck into the hole because you have this noose around you and you're like, ugh, and then you pull your knife out and you're trying to not cut the line, and hopefully you have enough air for all that. And heaven forbid you're using wire. Sometimes people use wire when they're shooting that kind of stuff, and it can be a big problem. You're not loading your guns yet, but you will start to, especially when we get our wetsuits and you have chest pads. But when you go to load a gun, you're gonna grab the band right here where the string is at. You're gonna grab it just like that. And you're gonna grab the handle. And you're gonna put your hand out all the way like this. And you're gonna stick it right on that chest pad, right where it's the most comfortable. And you're gonna pull that back and then just reach up and you're gonna grab both bands very comfortably like this. And then you're gonna pull it back on one big swoop and stick it in. It's technique. You can't just think, oh, I'm just gonna load it like this. You can't do that. It's not gonna happen. Like, you have to do technique. Now, if there is a safety on a gun, you wanna read. There's always instructions what's safety and what's not. Safety catch, engage. Press that in. Safety catch, release. So if you were gonna shoot a fish, boom. A lot of people make mistakes. They have it on safety, and they go to shoot a fish, and they're like, ah, shit. So you wanna be careful of that. We did a little classroom session with them, and then John took them in the pool and kind of did some target practice in the pool with them. So I really would have liked to have been in the water with them, but you know, duty calls. So I'm really appreciative for John to be able to take the time to work with them, get them up to par, because John's a pretty experienced Spiro as well.
Always adjust your band first, make sure they look good and right. Both are like synchronized. So through the bands.
Yeah, so underneath.
No. So the back end through the bands.
Oh, okay.
Yep, now slide it through that.
So like that?
Nope, other way.
This way?
Yep. So this doesn't matter, you just put this under here and then around.
Under like this?
Yep. Yep, and then down that close track here.
One day it's going to be really cool in this show to have their absolute beginning of getting into spearfishing, because one day they're going to be badasses and they're going to be slinging big fish into the boat. It's going to be really cool to have the entire story just like I have on my channel, and I really enjoy teaching them and training them and working with them so that they can get better and better, not only the sport but the way of life. So they're doing great. We're going to be making some really cool videos, traveling afar, and they're going to have some opportunities to shoot some big fish. So there's going to be big things coming from these two. So stay tuned for more epic content every single day.